Hey guys, so this is my old XR400R. I've been doing a bunch of work on it and I've got it street legal again. I had to do my own kind of dual sport kit. They're not available for this thing anymore. I was able to get this headlight pod and this kind of universal dirt bike rectifier voltage regulator from Baja Designs. They still have them. This is like $100 I think. There you go, Baja Designs. And this was like $35. But everything else I rewired myself. And the reason I did that is because if you have a separate standalone wire harness and your factory one, you end up with some extra wires. And this bike has an extremely simple wire harness from Honda, so it was just easier to make a whole new wire harness for it basically. I'll show you the wiring diagram at the end of the video. Any of these parts you want, check out the description. I'll have links for almost all of them in there. Okie dokie, so what did I do? Let's start with the switch panel because it's kind of the heart of everything. This is like a $15 eBay switch panel. The quality actually feels pretty good. And the one problem with it came with no colors. So I did make a cheat sheet somewhere, here we go, to tell you what the wires do in the switch panel. So those are the wires that come out of the switch harness right there. Oh, by the way, this thing didn't fit super good, so I had to put some rubber shims. You see the rubber shims to make it fit tight on the handlebar. But there's the wires. So your headlight circuit, which is your main one, the yellow is power in to the switch for the headlights. The blue is your high beam power out of the switch, and your white is your low beam power out of the switch. Okay. And then there is this green, which is a ground that's supposed to turn this LED on, but I think my switch is defective, so I need to complain to them. But that's not that important. That's just a little high beam indicator, which, you know, I don't really care for. Whatever. Okay, turn signals. This green-white is your right turn signal out of the switch. This orange is your left turn signal out of the switch. And the gray right here is your power into the switch for the turn signals. So this gray has to go to your blinker relay, right? Which gets power from your battery. That's a really cool blinker relay. It's very waterproof, it's very cheap, and it works with LED blinkers that are very low draw. So link in the description, of course. And then there's this horn button, which I decided to use as the kill switch. And that is the teal, this one, and the black. So all you need to do to kill the motor is ground this black-white. That's a factory wire on the bike. So I have the black tied into my common ground and the teal tied into that black-white. And I use some RC connectors to make it to where I can unplug some stuff. And that's everything that comes out of the switch assembly. So I know that was a little quick. If you guys want a more detailed video, let me know, but I feel like no one's going to watch this, so I'm just making a quick one just to show you that you can wire this thing up yourself, and it's pretty simple. Okay, so other wiring going up here, we have two wires that run to the back of the bike right here. This one is my dual sport harness, which has these two little wires are turn signals for the rear. This white is power for the rear tail lights and brake lights, and this red is power from the battery. Okay, so that's all the stuff I've added. Now I have another one down here, which has got two wires in it. This is just for the kill circuit. So the white is the ground, and the black-white is the circuit that you would ground to kill the motor. So that's also pretty simple, and the rest of this wiring is just going to these blinkers. The other thing I had to do, which is a little tricky here, is this is a diode. So you want your tail lights to be on when the switch is either in the high beam or the low beam position, right? Well, in order to accomplish that, you need to have a diode. Otherwise, when you power up your tail light with your low beam circuit, if they're tied together, you'll also obviously power up your headlight. So this diode just makes sure that when I'm in low beam, only my low beams are on, and the tail light, and when I'm in high beams, everything's on. So let's power flow one way, because that's what a diode does. Pretty simple there. Okay, I know this looks like a mess. I still need to tie everything up and get everything routed back. Coming back here on top of the airbox, I got this little tiny Mighty Max battery. Link in the description. This is their smallest battery. It fits there great on top of the airbox, and the seat supports fit right around it like it was made for it. You can see where the seat rubs there and there, so it's not going anywhere. It's just one little zip tie. So that was a pretty sweet deal. It gets charged by the rectifier voltage regulator. So those two wires go to your AC alternator and your stator. Red is your charge wire to the battery. Black is your ground. I also have another ground here to the shock bolt. Just double nutted it, put a big ground, and that's my battery ground. Everything grounds through the frame, except for the one wire that goes from here to there. But everything else grounds through the frame right here on this tab. And then you got the same stuff you saw on the front here. So this white is power back from the switch panel. This red is power from the battery to the front. You got a 15 amp fuse. And this little 2 wires right here go down to the other side of the bike for my brake switch. So this is a little pressure sensitive brake switch. When I hit the brake, it lights up. I can show you that. It's pretty snazzy, works great, very clean. And make sure you run that wire down real far away from the exhaust or you'll melt it. And that's about it. I need to wire up the, I need to wire up my turn signals in the rear, obviously. That's what these 2 wires are for. To do that, I got one of these little LED strips. I'm just gonna stick to my license plate. It's got brake and taillights in the center and turn signals on the 2 sides. So super cheap and simple. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't mention is I have a wireless phone charger on here. So this is pretty sweet. Also an Amazon special cheapo. Link in the description, but it feels pretty solid, had good reviews, and it does clamp on the phone really nicely. And it's also got a USB-C, so you could charge the GoPro when you're taking a beer break or what have you. And that wire just comes up to here and hooks up to the power from the battery and the frame ground. So it's really all there is to it. A couple things I'm doing that are not technically legal. When I hit my front brakes, the tail light does not light, the brake light does not come on. I just didn't want any extra wiring, and I always use the rear brake anyways with the front brake, so I didn't do that. I don't have a horn. My horn is my kill switch, so that's not technically legal. But you know, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not thinking I'm gonna get in too much trouble for it. But yeah, so it's almost street legal. I'll just wait for my title to get back, and then I gotta register this bad boy. Of course, got the big fuel tank on here for some long range stuff. But yeah, a fun little project. And I use RC car connectors in a lot of places. I figured they're gold plated, they've got to be better than the Honda banana jacks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The factory wiring is all the same except for the stuff I removed from the factory rectifier. There's no rectifier under here anymore, there's just this one. That factory one was just running the headlights. These are some higher wattage headlights. So, and you got turn signals and stuff, and a phone charger, and a battery, so you need a better voltage regulator than the factory one. So I took those few wires out, but the factory is like stock, and I'll put up a picture of the factory wiring diagram, or you can just Google it, XR400R wiring diagram. They're all over the place. It's a super simple wiring diagram. Yeah, I don't feel like doing any editing, so why don't you just Google that? I'll put a link in the description.